Hi, it's Sarah from Chariot.com, Facebook, The Numbers Queen, and Instagram, Chariot1111. Welcome to your April 2023 forecast. So I'm excited. Got my 1111 t-shirt on. It is a 7 universal year of crown chakra healing, reclaiming our wholeness and our holiness, and an 11 months because April is the 4th month. 7 plus 4 is 11. So what's it all about? We know that 7 is about miracles and mayhem, when the impossible becomes possible, when those at the top go to the bottom and vice versa. There's a lot of reversals for the greater good. 11 is quite similar. They're both eccentric aunties and uncles. So 11, definitely one of the numbers for the age of Aquarius, which is also why you'd be seeing 1111. It's a time of sudden change, outbursts of energy, spiritual growth, and partnerships. Now, because 11 adds to 2, 11 obviously looks like people standing up for themselves, whereas 2 looks more like a swan or a person kneeling. There's often a bit of extremes with this number. So there can be a lot of, as I mentioned, sort of advocacy, activism work, as well as the 2, which is a lot of mending, healing, cooperation, diplomacy, negotiation. But what I can say is you'll be feeling it. Because the second chakra is the emotions, it's in the belly, and you might be already noticing you're feeling unusually sensitive. This is both numerology, astrology, and just global energy, which we'll talk about. So excuse me, I do read from notes, and some of you might wonder why. It's because not that long ago, maybe 10 years ago, I had an illness that meant I lost my memory, and that's why I still use notes. And sometimes I feel embarrassed about it, but I thought today I'd come clean. And to be honest, it's a miracle that I'm able to still do this work, and I'm very grateful. And it was actually moving into those psychic readings that helped me to come back from that very difficult situation, because it allowed my logical side to have a bit of a break. And then, used a lot of my hidden gifts, and that's something that I love to help other people with as well. So my biggest suggestion, get things moving, book them in the calendar, definitely before the 21st of April, before the year coming up. As I've said many times in these forecasts, it's going to go quickly. Being it's April, wow, how did that happen? Look, you're probably already feeling the shadow. I know that I am. So expect a lot of to's and fro's. You book something, you have to move it. Just remember to breathe. Count to 11 before reacting. You know what I've learned to do is when I'm writing a cranky email or response, which isn't that often, thankfully, it's often good to just sleep on it or go for a walk, or even run it by someone who's had more sleep than you and is less attached to the outcome. It really can save a lot of chaos. So if you're wanting to know more about what's in store for you, you have a couple of options. You can look up my pre-recorded 2023 forecast. Now, this is half price for the first time. I'll put the details below. It's really worth it. 6 hours of insights, 9 different life path meditations, various healings. It's basically a toolkit for the year ahead. Now I'm going to show you the cards that we are playing with at the moment. A lot of you will recognize the Chariot. So this is really that year where we get out from the mundane and from the day-to-day grind. We allow ourselves to explore a lot more of our higher purpose, our soul desires. And that can be quite confronting, to be honest, because it can often appear to come out of nowhere, a bit like when I was a scientist and then decided to read palms. And at the same time, there's a beauty to it. And when we really look at the big picture, it all makes sense. So that's the first card. And then we've also got lovely Lady Justice, one of my favorite cards. I am biased because I'm an 11 life path. And what she does basically is she's guiding us through extremes. And this month will bring that. There'll be a lot of volatility inside and outside. And I really encourage you to choose the middle way over the quick fixes. So a couple of things that I felt would be relevant. We do have that Mercury retrograde coming in soon. It is a time when our psychic ability becomes stronger. Just remember, psychic ability is the most natural, helpful thing in the world. It's basically love's instinct to protect and guide. And so it's very strong in parents, particularly paramedics, nurses, anyone working at the life and death barrier. And so again, it's nothing to be scared of. It's actually something that is very useful and easy to cultivate. So it's quite possible you will have some contact with ghosts. Don't freak out. That's why I'm here. This is interesting. So a lot of people are afraid of ghosts, even though we're all spirits. And this is one way to really cut off from the part of yourself that is wise, that is patient, that is connected. And it's a bit sad when we come across it. All we can do is have that conversation and hold space. So next time you look in the mirror, I really want to encourage you, say hello to your soul. It can literally be, hi soul, doing well, still here. How did this happen? What it does is it cultivates not only intuition, that inner voice, that inner presence, but it actually increases humor, which is absolutely essential in a year like this. Attitude will be everything in 2023. Now, if you do get shivers, goosebumps, temperature changes, that's a sign that it's working. Keep going. Also, ponder who really told you that ghosts are bad. What was their agenda? Because so often the people who are not kind of holistic in their leadership, they are the ones where they will say, do this, don't do that. And yet, a good leader is very open-minded. So this is my big suggestion. Just question, where did that belief come from? Usually from someone who was trying to control you or trying to keep you from their throne, so to speak. So just remember, mature souls, they spread wholeness, not division. And anything to do with ghosts, whether it's dealing with memories, past lives, or actual spiritual ghosts, it's an opportunity to learn. And for me, that's a holy experience. Do remember also that animals, children, and those near death can all see ghosts. And when we, I suppose, disregard their experiences, again, we cut off a very important source of information. So who's in the spotlight in April? Well, those with 7 numerology are in the spotlight all year, and I'm hearing stories every day about all the things that are happening for them. And again, check out the toolkit for them. If you see 777, you could well have a lot of 7s in your numerology. Also in April, particularly those with strong 11 or 2 energy will be feeling it, as I mentioned before. Also, if you see 1111 or 222, which will be a lot of people watching this. So it is really a time when you could have some important conversations, not just with yourself and your own fears, but with others about their fears. Sometimes one conversation can just open a whole new life up. I know that because a long time ago, I was on a train in Thailand and I met someone. I found out later she was an 11. I had a conversation. I decided to move to Brisbane. I had a flash that my husband was in Brisbane, and he was. And look, I was a scientist back then. It's not something I could explain, but I just knew in my soul. So expect things like that to happen. Hey, at least international travel's opened up. That's got to be good. So yeah, if you do have that strong 11 energy, you are building on things that were happening last May, which was our last 11 months. So very interesting progression. Dates that you need to know about are the 6th today, full moon, ooh, strong energy, kids aren't sleeping, good time to meditate, journal, watch things like this to keep yourself sane. We'll be then heading, so there'll be a couple of weeks of the waning moon, which is about releasing, letting go, forgiveness. And then we have a very potent new moon solar eclipse on the 20th of April. This has, for me, always been a time to just rest. Eclipses, like I sort of touched on with the 11 energy, to just often bring wake-up calls. You just know things that you've been maybe pondering for years. So, keep notes, pay attention. And then, on the 21st, we go into a Mercury retrograde, which is basically a digestion phase. Think of it like amber lights with traffic signals. It's not something to be afraid of. It's just the time to check your direction, make sure your mirrors are straight, make sure your passengers are still in the car. And that will go on till the 14th of May. Look, if you really enjoy my work, and I hope you get something from these videos, you can come and study with me on Patreon. Our next call is in just over a week, and I'm teaching about my numerology reading template. Lots of, about 40 actually, different replays in there. You can also book a reading with me and my husband. Apart from that, I have a secret squirrel program called 1111 World Changes. I just talk about it. It's not actually on my website. It's a very small but special group of people. Basically, those who have defied the odds to start a business or in the progress of starting a business with some sort of spiritual element. I teach the numerology, energy protection, everything I've learned from 15 years in the New Age industry in that group. You can email me, info@chariot.com, to go on the wait list. This is my gold star training. It includes one-on-one time with me, group calls, all kinds of support, and access to a lot of the guest speakers who I have, I suppose, collected over many decades. And the figures are pretty stark. There's about 2.3 million small businesses in Australia. I imagine there would actually be more if you count all the spiritual ones, because a lot of us hide. And unfortunately, 20% of those will fail in their first year. 60% will not survive more than 5 years. Now, I would actually say with spiritual businesses, it would be much higher. So you've got to think of it like if you went for a drive with 10 people and, only a few made it home, it really, you feel it here, don't you? And, I often compare it to turtles. I used to do conservation of marine turtles. And I think it's like 1 in 10,000 survives to adulthood. Like, it really does take support, education, courage, luck to make it in this field. And every single day people jump in, and all I can say is I'm just doing my very best with this small group of people to make sure that they get through in good shape and they're able to then give back to themselves, their communities, and their families. So if you're interested, contact me. One more thing actually that's come up. I was just discussing it with Grant Denyer and his wife Chezzy, who can check out our podcast together down below. I was talking about how in Queensland, where I live, until about, I think it was between 2000 and 2004, it was actually illegal for me to do what I do. What's so interesting, of course, that law was overturned with the help of psychics like Shada Montfort and other very switched on people. After that point, we were able to actually have a living, and I actually moved to Queensland just after that. So I'm feeling like at some level I was called in. Anyway, that feels like plenty for your April forecast. The last thing I wanted to mention is I am collaborating with the Gong Master. So our event is called The Numbers Queen Meets the Gong Master. My husband thought that was hilarious. It's on the 25th of June. Plenty of time to book. It will involve psychic readings, numerology, probably a lot of jokes, and some amazing sound healing. So do check that out. All the links will be below. Well, thank you so much for listening. I always appreciate your support, and just take care of yourself. I'll see you next time. 1111 peace signs always.